2. There we go.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 2. Welcome. I am
What's
one of
up?
your hosts, Cam, here with Kavan and Mike.
What it do?
And how are you guys doing today?
It's hot.
Yeah.
It's hot?
Hot as hell. Yes.
It's not that bad.
Sweaty in new places.
I need a new AC. Well, I need an AC first of all.
Better.
In
Yeah,
general.
you need a fan or something. You got to start out somewhere.
I went back to work this week, and our AC doesn't fully work. So certain places in the store are super hot, others aren't, and we have to wear the mask. So you can pretty much not breathe all the time. And just with the times that we're in and like the whole I can't breathe thing having so much context, I feel bad every time I say I can't breathe because like I'm alive, but I still can't breathe.
You made that joke and I didn't.
Yeah, I mean,
Only he's
It's not
allowed
even-
to.
yeah, I mean, it's not even really like it's funny, but it's not even really a joke. It's just like it's just life. But one of my coworkers, who's a white person, was complaining that they couldn't breathe, and like subconsciously, I was like upset with them. I was like, "You have no rights." But
That was not the time.
I was like, "You have no right to complain."
Hold it in like the rest of us.
But at the end of the day, we all are struggling because it's so hot. But the AC got repaired on Friday, so hopefully it's better. It's supposed to be 90 degrees next week, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, I was going to say, I've been working from home, so when it's hot, I turn the AC on, and when I'm cool, I turn it off.
It must be
Oh.
nice.
So I can't complain. How about you, Mike?
My AC is similar. It gets so cold, like that my toes start to freeze, so I have to turn it down. But my week has been all right. I had to go back to work for one day this week, and it definitely felt like a fallout zone inside my building. Just normally working with an office of 20 plus people, and then only 2 of them were there with me, so it definitely felt a little eerie being at work. And I almost felt like, and I wasn't the only one that shared this viewpoint, I felt like we were more productive at home than we were at work. Just because I didn't really want to be back at work. You know, the computers are old. Like I'm at home working on my brand new Mac. Like, well, not brand new, but definitely newer than Windows 8 or whatever we're running at my job. So,
Shout outs to Apple and Microsoft.
Come on the show. Sponsor us.
Sponsor us.
yeah.
We'll take back everything we said about Windows.
Did I try Windows last week?
No,
Or was
he
that
just
today?
that was just Mike. You see,
No, I was trashing Windows at some point this week, so I didn't know if that was something we said.
you're not supposed to
earlier.
admit that on.
Oh, like I said,
Ow.
I love Microsoft. One of
Did
my
I say
favorite.
Windows? Yeah, I know.
Go Xbox, all that jazz.
I
Oh,
meant
Xbox is fantastic. Yes.
Like nobody's paying attention to the PS5 now. No, what's that?
Unless you want to sponsor the show, Sony.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on. Come on. What you got going?
Like I said, I'm working from home, so like I said, I'm taking it, not taking it easy. It was weird. We had a lot of like webinars and webcasting this week, so that was something I did, and I'm still trying to manage this move going on. So
Have you bought your furniture yet?
no, I haven't.
Are you gonna enact this plan of like moving at all, or are you just gonna wait
Yes.
until everything is over? You're just gonna.
Yes, I plan to. Hopefully by the end of the month, I will be 75% moved. I'm at like
No, you're 0% moved. You have all of your stuff.
not in terms of moving process.
I don't know about that.
I'm
a
at
big
like
part of the moving process is moving physically items from one place to another.
that's why I'm
I've
at
not
like
done that.
that's why I'm at like 10% now.
No.
Thought about moving?
Yeah, like where's this 10%?
I
0%.
I feel like I'm 10% of the way there.
Okay.
But
Well,
all right.
you're only as moved as you feel. Is that saying you're only as moved as you feel?
It's something like that.
Something like that, right? Yeah. Well, I feel 10% moved. So,
Okay.
I feel 10% proud of you.
I'll take it. I'll take it. But nah, I'm a buckle down and it's gonna get done. All right, but let's switch gears to a more serious note. Well, first of all, let me say Black Lives Matter.
X. Are we throwing
Yes.
a fist up?
Throwing a fist up? With that being said, I feel like that's an appropriate transition into Dave Chappelle, who just dropped I guess it would be a surprise special, some new content last night, early this morning. 4
It was fantastic.
Good
8
stuff.
846. So yeah, what were you guys thoughts about it?
I mean, I for one, I have to say that I stand corrected, because when I first searched for the video, I said, why is this man making it just the video time as the title? So I learned a lot.
You just judged him right off the bat. First of all, you gave Dave no credit whatsoever.
But not only that, honestly, that's the most keen point made, Mike. That you like that's a great summation of what's happening right now.
Why is the video time 8 minutes and 46 seconds?
No sense of awareness of what's going on at the moment. Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
Which was, I think that was an important part about it. It was, well, did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely got, I think you guys were mentioning it, like a speaker role now rather than a comedian to his performances. So I think that hit pretty heavy in this one. Not even just for what he was talking about but with how he delivered the information. And I mean, I appreciated at least the his delivery.
Yeah, I think that was like the biggest thing. Like you felt like his pain in that, and it was formatted, I guess, like a comedy show or like his typical comedy shows. Mm-hmm. But a good portion of it was really just him like talking through the pain that he's been feeling. Like he wasn't cracking jokes as much as he was just like having a heart to heart with an audience of people. Mm-hmm. And what we were talking about in like the group chat was just how Kamal was saying like he's transcended comedy at this point. And I was like, yeah, he's really just speaking. He's an orator. Like he's just there to speak on topics and provide context and like his own personal experience, and like without giving too much of it away, because everyone should definitely go watch it. But the 8 minutes 46 seconds and how that connects to him and his birth, like the time that he was born, and then he mentions Kobe also and how he was born on August 24th, 8/24, which are Kobe's numbers. Just like the way that he was able to like envelope all that information and wrap it up was crazy. And just like make it personal, but like make it, apply to everyone. It was crazy.
I mean, even the story that he introduces the whole thing at the earthquake story, mm-hmm. to get kind of like that, like build a foundation for that, like mm-hmm. build upon for the entire show. And it's not really a long show, but it feels like,
it's heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy. Like, I don't think it could be that much longer without, changing it completely.
Mm-hmm. Like the tone of it was good. It was great.
Something that I noticed, well, like you guys have mentioned, I know there was honestly there was no jokes in it. It was like this
Well,
wasn't
there
a
was the
bit.
pussy jokes. There was good pussy
Yeah,
jokes.
and it's always,
I don't know. I feel like those were like, well, those were like, I don't know, throwaway. Those were like ad libs, but like this wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like there was no like developed bit that he's been working on for like the last week or so, or like a bit he's been developing since the Floyd murder or anything like that. This was really just him reflecting and kind of conversing about what's transpired. One thing I thought was really interesting was his the sense of self awareness he had. Like I think like he's one of the rare celebrities, well, let's say comedians, celebrities, public figures who's super conscious and aware of the role that he plays or how society views him. Because like he even commented on it about people waiting to hear what he had to say.
Right.
And that I think that speaks, and like I was saying about him transcending comedy, I think that speaks to how skillfully and how thought provoking his work has been over the years, and how him as a figure has kind of he's morphed beyond just a stand up.
Right.
Because now he's right. He has become somewhat of a figure, especially at least in the Black community. I feel. I don't know. I can't speak to how others feel, but for me, he feels like someone who you're always curious how he sees it and like what he's thinking. Not only because of like of his humor and how comedic, like how skillful his comedic mind is, but also like how knowledgeable he is. His like
Right.
his historical
references,
clarity, his understanding of it. Um, he's doing something I feel that not many, if not many others, if any, could do. Is like I feel I don't think many public speakers or definitely not comedians would have the ability to talk on a subject matter so serious and so uh, drenched in like emotion and be yet so captivating and entertaining and thought provoking and
when he's casual too, right? A little bit, like like he's just sitting there smoking a cigarette, like kind of shooting.
Yeah, it felt like he was giving. It almost felt like a lecture, but it had the intimacy of a like.
It's like a conversation
at the bar
between friends. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of a lecture too.
That's I feel like I feel, for example, I think Chris Rock is a great social commentator as well, but I'm not sure he would be able to do it in the same way. And I love Chris Rock.
Oh, it's just his art is just a little bit different.
Yeah, and but not just different. I think it's so much richer than.
But I mean, I think it's the general consensus is that Dave is the best doing it right now. I mean, there's a reason for that. It's the level of it's a combination thing. It's like he has the following to make his whatever he says is going to touch a lot of people, and then what we've been saying, like the way he delivers his commentary, that's what makes him the best doing it right now. And I think about his last special that he did with Netflix. And that's not even like my favorite. I didn't like laugh. That's not the special that I laughed at the most. Like I think the first special he did that I saw him do it live, and then he did the recording for Netflix. Like I really laughed at that one. but the most recent special he did, it was great commentary, and he talked about a wide variety of things, but it didn't like make me, bend over laughing. But the commentary is so potent that like it's still enjoyable. So like, and that's what I think makes him great or the greatest, because not every comedian is going to be able to still keep you engaged without the laughter. Like anyone who watched that, the 846 video, you're engaged and you really are only laughing at like 2 or 3 jokes, and they're like, come on, like they're pussy jokes, like they're kind of just like dirty and fun just to like get a quick laugh. But like the content is so good and the perspective is so good that it doesn't even matter. And like I don't think there's a lot of other comedians that are even trying to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta wonder like if they what level they are on compared to Dave, just because like um you know he was so humble about it too, because like you said, he has this ability to um reflect in his work like his sense of how the public views him and stuff. And he's he talks about how people are want to hear what he has to say as a celebrity, but he says it. He says, if you have you not like heard my jokes before, like have you not
Mm-hmm.
heard my stand up, I've talked about this. And but the to me the best part about him being so humble about it, in the sense that he realizes that he doesn't necessarily need to give his opinion in this circumstance. The best part to me is that at the very same time, I think people, just like all of us, are looking to hear what he has to say about it, just because we know how prevalent all of his work has always been, how socially conscious it's always been. So we're at the same time at the same time that he's saying he shouldn't, he should move out of the spotlight. I think we're all, and that's why I was so drawn to watching the video, just because I respect what he has to say about stuff. And I wanted to hear what he had to say.
Um, I agree. Before we kind of wrap uh, this part up, um, something that also uh, came to mind when I was watching it was, what do you guys think about the setup he had in terms of the handling COVID, the way this kind of the setup of the
Mm-hmm.
event was. He had these he had people grouped in 2 chairs at a 2 chairs together, and they're kind of spaced, probably looked to be maybe close to like 6 to 8 feet apart from one another on this like grassy field. Um,
Oh,
how,
well.
do you think that, like, in terms of, do you see that kind of being a blueprint? Well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
You see that as kind of a framework, a blueprint of how more laid back social gatherings at bars, clubs, restaurants, theaters, things like that will be going forward.
Yeah, for comedy clubs specifically, because I follow a bunch of stand-up comics, and the ones that have that have been able to start working again, they've been posting about like just the safety guidelines that the clubs are following, and like if their capacity is 500 people, they're only putting 250, and then they're spacing everyone, like they're seating everyone 6 feet apart. So it does seem like these venues are being super careful, and I think like the way that Dave did it was it's the responsible thing to do. And it was also great that his was outside, so you even get like more of a open air
Yeah.
feel. Obviously, with most of the comedy clubs, they're not going to be able to pull that off because they probably don't have the real estate outside of their brick and mortar space. But just from what I've seen, it seems like a lot of these clubs, when they open up, they're still going to be trying to have this built-in social distancing with the amount of people that they let in, and then just how they're functioning as a venue. But it's definitely responsible. Like they were checking everybody's temperature as they're coming in, and then making sure everybody was spaced. It's got to be the way to go. We've been hearing like the new norm, and that's probably what it's going to be like.
Make sure you cover that nose.
Yeah. Oh, that's the most frustrating part is seeing with just the mouth covered and the nose is just
the chin strap.
They got their
Yeah.
At the bottom.
out.
Yeah. But yeah, I think like Yvonne said, everyone should go see it. Go watch it. I think it's just under a half an hour,
Yeah, it's
right?
like 27, 28 minutes, something like that.
Yeah. And I think it's on. I think it's like on YouTube and stuff like that. And
I saw it on YouTube. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but it's
yeah,
definitely on YouTube.
it might be put on Netflix as well, but I wouldn't be surprised because I think I actually saw it on like a Netflix affiliated YouTube channel, something like that. So definitely go watch it. Um, let's switch gears for a second, but keep kind of the same, I guess, broader subject matter. In the wake of the George Floyd murder and protests that have been going on, discussion has been going on in terms of addressing some of these uh, the flaws in policing. And a very common or popular thing that's risen up from that is defund police, the hashtag defund police, or just the general idea of defunding or abolishing the police.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys generally think about that, Karan?
For me, like you said, it's been going around. There's a comedian who has a show on HBO. I might be saying his name wrong. I think it's Wyatt Cenac. He has the show where he talks about a lot of different political issues, but he had this episode where he goes to different areas where for the episode he dives into just like how effective is the police force in specific areas, like where it's really good or where it's where they have a lot of issues. He goes into the training, like what training videos these different officers go into, and the general consensus is that they like the people that provide a lot of the training. It's just very aggressive and gears towards violence. And I mentioned the training because a part of like that funding, it definitely comes from sending these officers to these big, gatherings where they, go through these seminars for training. And we're putting in like, this is American taxpayer dollars going into training these guys from privately owned, officer training that are super gun heavy. They're very aggressive. And it's just, it teaches the officers right out the gate that they're like, almost essentially that their lives are at risk at all times, that they need to like operate in that way. And I think we see that when you hear every time, one of these officers kills someone, it's, I feared for my life. So like for me, the big part of it is like we're, as American taxpayers, we're literally paying for these people to get horrible training that in turn directly affects the way that they're policing individuals in these neighborhoods. And then secondly, like, obviously, like, I'm totally in support of defunding the police. Like, just, we don't need to be giving them more money to perform poorly. In any other situation, if you continually perform poorly at your job, there's no way you're getting more money. Like, you're not getting a raise. But that's what keeps happening. Like, we just keep forking over more money. That just doesn't make sense. And then at the same time, other institutions, which is the big thing for me, is like defund the police and put that money elsewhere into education, which is consistently being defunded, but yet no one complains about that. Like, people are in uproar when you say defund the police, but they don't say anything when schools have been getting less and less money for years now.
What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I would want to know more information about it. But I mean, I would say that I probably support defunding as well, because just to like echo you, Kavon, I mean, where is the money going? How is it being spent? Are always important questions to ask. And I've seen news stories pop up of what's the hiring process like? What's, how is a previous officer's record released? Or, are those records kept from the public? A lot of the public stuff is what I am concerned with. And if defunding, and just to speak to your point, I mean, I agree. I think there's so many other jobs out there that if you don't perform well, your area doesn't just keep getting more and more funding. Um, you either lose your job, or you're put on some kind of leave or whatever. So I mean, I do support it. Um, but what was I going to say? I think that there's definitely um, a lot that the public should know. I know in my town, for example, people are having issues with um, the police officers who have put the Blue Lives Matter flag on cop cars. Um, and their kind of thing is, oh, we just support um, those officers who we've lost or whatever, which I get. But I mean, that flag in of itself has a political message, and so these are public servants. So I don't think stuff like that going on is healthy. And so if defunding them is what causes positive change, and for things um, to be addressed in all of the communities across the United States, like that's what I support.
Before I say let you guys know how I want to ask. So, do you guys support any? Because like I said, there have also been calls for abolishing police departments or dismantling them, and I guess in the idea of trying to replace them with a number of different other programs and departments and services. What do you guys feel about that?
I think. Go ahead, Mike. You can go.
I was just going to say, I agree. I think if there's a better way, why not do it? Obviously, people are not happy with how it's going. Super militaristic, as we've seen with what the response has been to the protests, and I would agree with defunding them if we have better measures to replace it with.
Yeah, I think and to go back to that HBO Wyatt Cenac episode, um, they show how in LA, where they have a serious homelessness issue, how officers, like police officers, are the ones that they send out to handle homeless people living in Skid Row. Where if we were to take that funding and actually send, social workers, mental health workers, and for them to provide the same role, how those situations would probably end a lot better, and those people would actually get help, as opposed to sending in police officers where they're going to go find some reason to arrest this person and just continue to perpetuate that cycle of this person being homeless and not able to grow and develop within society. So I'm not necessarily saying that we don't need to have any police at all. I wouldn't say complete abolishment of policing, but the role that it plays, there shouldn't be any police in schools, I don't feel. Especially when you see the percentages of Black girls in schools getting suspended or getting harsher treatment for any type of punishment within school. And a lot of times, there's been videos of officers just manhandling little girls. There's no need for a cop to be in a school handling children. It just doesn't seem necessary to me. Take that money and get people that know how to work with children, that are trained to work with children, whether they're social workers or whatever the case may be. But that's not a cop's job. That's not a cop's job to go wrangle some kids together. So I just feel all of those roles that the police are playing, we can eliminate that. It just seems excessive to me.
Yeah, and I mean, just to see the with the George Floyd protest, the response and the level of military response or militaristic response that the police are carrying out. I mean, I think that in of itself should any regardless of your stance on defunding the police, I think should alarm everybody, and make you question, what what how is this money being spent in police departments, and what really is the goal behind it, other than, as we've seen in some videos of harming civilians' rights to protest, etc.
I agree with a lot of you guys saying. I well, for one, I think the I don't know, but I guess it can't be too much of a surprise that somehow whatever it comes to, especially people of colors, calls for equality or call for action and justice for something, that the people who inherently are fine with with the way things are, who are kind of baked into their privilege of not being affected by and not seeing it in their communities or in their own lives, will somehow find a way to, or they're just generally racist and hate black people, will find a way to hijack it. As soon as this hashtag started coming up, this discussion came up, you hear the same old thing. Oh, you're trying to get rid of police? So what are you going to replace the police with? You're just going to fire all the police? And like in most cases, the discussion has been way more nuanced than that. Like you guys said, it's a lot about slashing budgets, but also reallocating funds to new services and different services that are better equipped to service the community. But I think, like, even if you were to cut the funding and give more to social work and things of that nature, I think there needs to be just a radical change in accountability across the board, from leadership on down to street level patrolling. I think for one, it's been my thinking, and it was reflected, I think, well said by, funny enough, Chris Rock in, I think, his most recent special, where there are just some jobs where you can't have bad apples. Like there are just some, like like he said, if you were talking about pilots, you wouldn't say sometimes they land, or most of our pilots, they land the planes. Like I feel like we should hold police to just a higher standard, because so often, even if like people aren't getting killed, the ramifications the ramifications emotionally, professionally, socially, of traumatic, of interactions with the police can be insanely traumatic. Being detained, being arrested, the effect that it has on someone's personal life and their career, and at worst, like we've seen, the bodily harm and loss of life. I feel like and this all people aren't meant to be police. I feel like you. I feel like you. If let's assume that all police had the best of intentions. They only wanted to serve and protect. They only wanted to protect and
better their communities.
Better their community. That's all they want to do. When you sign up for the job, you know you're in a dangerous profession, and in that position, when you're signing up for that job, you should go into the understanding that of the danger that you're putting yourself in. Similar enough, like firefighters, they go in, they know their job is risking their own life on a daily basis to save lives and protect the community. They know that their lives are at risk, and they may not come home on any call that they take, but they accept that responsibility. This idea that this idea of fearing for your life, or just making sure that you get home safe, I feel as harsh as it may sound, is unacceptable. I feel like there's no reason why you should be unnecessarily escalating to use of deadly force to guarantee your own safety and putting the public, especially when your life is not at risk, in harm's way. You guys understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. Like, what, and also it begs the question of, like, because I've heard that before, that police officers say, well, we sign up for a dangerous job, and it comes with its risks and whatnot. But um, you have to, it begs the question of, how much of their presence and what their how they're seen by society also causes the dangerous escalation of or the dangerous, just quality of their job. How, if people are saying that they don't feel comfortable, in walking the street without being harassed by police officers, then that contributes to the the dangerousness of their job, because you have two people who are fearful of a situation caused by multiple factors, but likely that they are fearful of police because of police brutality, I think that it could be said, well, does that contribute to the way that their job has to be carried out every day?
In fa- so I agree, but in fairness to law enforcement, they are involved in law enforcement, enforcing the law, and largely involves dealing with some type of criminal element, right?
Mhm.
I mean, you could say that,
So
yeah, but what about the police officers beating people up in the street for protesting? They say, oh,
no,
it's not a lawful protest.
no, I get that, but my point is that you know that you're dealing with a criminal element. That's why I believe, like, obviously none of us are like sociologists, and none of us are psychologists, so none of us can speak
Wow.
exactly to you claim to be, but none of us have the um the resume or like the credentials to like be talking about this. This is just what we think about it. But I feel like there has to be that police. There should be a special breed of person that works as a police officer. Someone who that through intensive like examination and testing, someone who is able to handle intense situations calmly.
Right.
I think, like you said, more training, but like all like different types of training, but also more training. I feel like you see all the memes and the posts all the time about how menial, not menial, but like everyday jobs in like the service industry that requires like schooling, requires thousands of hours,
Right.
and um, some police departments only require a couple hundred hours of training and study before they're out
Right.
on the before they are full-fledged members of the force.
There's a graphic going around right now on Instagram. I saw it today and yesterday, and it just compares different countries with different countries' police forces and the amount of time that they're required to train. Most of them are like 2 years or higher,
Mm-hmm.
and they all had significantly lower. And when I say significantly lower, I mean like in the past 100 years they've had like one police related killing or something like that. And you compare it to the US, and it's required that they do 21 weeks of training, and we've had like thousands of deaths in like a year's time alone.
Yeah.
So it's like it's like you're saying, it's not just like the type of person that's coming in, but the training element, it should be a more in-depth training. But then also, I mean, kind of touched on it earlier with like the accountability, like when we have the quote unquote bad apple cops and they get in a little trouble in one police station and they decide, okay, I'm going to move to another city and I'm going to apply to another police station, and they're getting hired again. Like these officers are getting recycled when the people, that have previously employed them know that they were problematic and know that they had issues, with
they're a part
police
of the team.
brutality. Right. It's just like, well, we'll give them another shot. It's another new, you can't keep giving these types of people that consistently prove that they're not capable, keep giving them another shot. And it's like we were saying, if someone is repetitively bad at their job, there's like no other industry where you can keep getting that same job over and over again and no one bats an eye. Like it just doesn't make sense.
Well, I think if you looked hard enough, you'd probably find it. But granted, none of them are industries where their job is to carry a gun.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a life or death
if my
situation.
garbage man is a bad garbage man and he keeps like slacking off, throwing garbage away, fine. Like I'm okay with that. But like anything that matters. Anything that matters, we need people that are going to be good.
And it's not only that, but there is this sort of this kind of gang element to it that like you're one of us, you're either with us or against us. Whatever is done stays within that, the idea of that the blue wall of silence and all that. It's a real thing. Like there's plenty instances where cops have tried to call out, try to be whistleblowers and call out people and their fellow officers, and they've lost their careers because of it. They've been threatened by people in their own department. They've lost their jobs and then been shut out from seeking similar type employment. They've been investigated and harassed. So even that part, that all goes back to accountability. And I think that also speaks to it where police feel that they because of this track record where most cops are put on administrative leave, or sent to desk duty or suspended with pay, or just simply fired for things like murder. When these are the precedents set, of course you feel like you can do whatever you want. Of course you have, and then of course, and add in the racial element where you just the racial element, but also just the idea that these people, you're in a position of power, and these people are beholden to you. They must do what you tell them to do because you have the badge, and that just reinforces this toxic behavior. If every cop who assaulted officer lost their job immediately and lost their pension, it wouldn't be this way. Right. If for one thing, if they were held to as high a standard as normal civilians are, it wouldn't be as terrible as things have gotten.
Yeah.
But the culture that we said, there's also this weird mix of reverence, but also fear. There's also this lack of accountability. I think it's a general idea, like throughout.
I mean, it's the thing it's just been going around where people are saying the system isn't broken. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly how it's supposed to. Like, it's set up that way where they acknowledge that these issues exist, but they are fine with it. They don't see a problem, so they're like, okay, well, let's keep it going. And as long as everyone is in support, right, and it works for them. So, luckily we're in a time where more people are being vocal about it and pushing back. So hopefully we'll see the change. But as it is right now, there was a video that came out of like a group of cops saying that like their reputation is being ruined or something along those lines. And again, not to take away from the fact that it's a very difficult job and you're literally putting your life on the line, but like, don't sit here and pretend that, we're attacking.
It's the same.
Yeah, like we're not saying that all cops are bad. Like it's not one of those things. We're not trying to all lives matter the situation and say that, a blanket, all cops are bad. But like when the system
But nah, scratch that. Like let's scratch the even like not criticizing them and saying all cops are bad. This you're like they're not the same. Like you're comparing like the magnitude of these issues are not the same.
True.
You being a little upset or being called bad names or I don't know,
Not being
being
respected.
not being respected for your profession is a lot different than dying,
Yeah.
than being afraid to live, than not only being not being afraid to live, but actively feeling hunted by law enforcement and then having no sense of recourse because they're protected by the system.
And I mean, if you are a great cop and you're one of the people that say like not all cops are bad, it you don't need to be a bad cop or a bad doctor or a bad teacher or whatever it is. You don't need to be a bad one in that position to be somebody who's against, um, you know, calling out the failures of the job or the system that controls your job. You don't need to be you could be a normal person, a normal cop who does well at their job and still be for reform, before changing the things the way the things are going right now.
But that's the point though. You're not. That's the thing. I feel even the very professional um, the good cops are forced into situations where they can only speak out so much because of retribution and retaliation by their peers and the system. You're not allowed to call them out. So you're not allowed to say just be like, I'm a good cop, but like my partner's shitty or my captain's shitty or um my city's
Yeah, no,
the
it's a wolf pack.
yeah, and it doesn't enable uh, improvement or reform from within because they really have a gang mentality to them, and it's I'm curious to see how this plays out because like I know Minneapolis has already I think their city council has already voted or vowed to defund their police department. I know New York has had proposals and starting to have discussions, but I don't know. Leadership in New York is all over the place when it comes to
Yeah.
and New York City Police Department is one of
Is it
the
true?
most notorious.
Is it true that I saw a number that their department has a budget of $5 billion? I mean, just think about the power that goes behind that. Like that even goes above the cops serving in uniforms. I mean, $5 billion, like.
Well, when you've got to pay all those lawyer fees for all the people that they're killing, then
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
that's another thing though. This a bunch of police departments pay out tons of settlements on a yearly basis. You just don't hear about them.
Oh yeah.
Like I think they set aside a fund like with I'm pretty sure it's like tens of millions of dollars that they plan to dish out in terms of settlements for criminal behavior.
Why don't they have to get malpractice insurance like doctors do?
That's a terrible idea, Mike. That's a terrible idea.
Well, whatever we got now is also terrible. So
yeah,
figure
something out.
Yeah. What's next, Kennel?
All right. So this is in a similar vein to still in the light of the Floyd protests. There seems to have been like a resurgence. Well, this has been going on for the last few years. Resurgence in discussion about two flags here in the United States: the American flag and the Confederate flag. Obviously, we know that the discussion around the American flag and the national anthem have revolved largely around, been kind of spearheaded through the Colin Kaepernick kneeling protests.
Tale as old as time.
Yeah, there's so much to get into that. But I think a particular point I wanted to address about that was Drew Brees, because he, in light of these Floyd protests, during a interview recently made comments about kneeling and anthem protests and flag protesting. Where can I find this? So he was asked, what does he think about players kneeling in NFL when kneeling again when the NFL season started? Let me try and read out his answer really fast to you guys. I will never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States of America or our country. Let me just tell what I see or what I feel when the national anthem is played. And when I look at the flag of the United States, I envision my two grandfathers who fought for this country during World War II, one in the Army and one in the Marine Corps, both risking their lives to protect our country and to try to make our country and this world a better place. So every time I stand with my hand over my heart, looking at that flag, singing the national anthem, that's what I think about. In so many cases, that brings me to tears, thinking about all that has been sacrificed, not just those in the military, but for that matter, those throughout the civil rights movement of the 60s and all that has been endured by so many people up until this point. And is everything right with our country right now? No, it is not. We still have a long way to go. But I think we can, what you do by standing there and showing respect to the flag with your hand over your heart, shows unity. It shows that we are all in this together. We can all do better, and that we are all part of the solution.
$5 says right. He didn't actually write that.
Absolutely not. I mean, he said it. He probably said it live, right? But he didn't. He prepared. That was prepared for him, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, oh boy, there's just so much to this. Wow.
I mean, we should give credit. He has kind of tried to clean it up afterwards with a lot of apologies. We're not addressing that. I mean, I think it's fair to address that he has.
No, the apology don't mean jack. Because this is what he means. This is what he thought. This is what his thinking was. Apologies after you getting called out, after your ass is getting rung through the media. That don't mean shit.
I mean, I'm with you. I'm just saying that we should clarify that he did.
Yes, he issued some type of apology about being ignorant, about supporting improving race relations, yada yada. All right, so let's just go through this, because
we're gonna go line by line.
No, I just think what I think a lot of this is, it's a mix of ignorance and privilege and just like a lack of perspective. But that's the funniest thing to me, is that people love talking but not have any idea of like what's really going on. Mm-hmm. Like, he says he thinks about the no perspective outside your own, especially, unfortunately, if you're white. You just can't see the country you can't see the country from a different lens, because this is all you know. So he's talking about his grandparents in the military. Do I need to bring up the fact that throughout through the history of this nation, Black people are fighting right alongside his white ancestors, protecting this country, dying for this country, and still treated like shit. World
As
War
a matter
II,
of fact, treated better overseas than they were treated.
Yes, that's the funniest part about it. Treated way more civilly and humanely there. Like, it's just amazing.
the biggest paradox about his argument and anybody else who makes this argument. Okay, what the American flag stand for, democracy, the union of our country, is protecting our right to protest, our right to, you know, uh, do do what Colin Kaepernick was doing, do what others have done by drawing attention to using the flag as a symbol in their protests. And that's the paradox is that that they don't understand it. I mean, like how could you say that you're disrespecting something that stands for the right to protest in your own country what you believe? It's as simple as day. I don't even honestly feel like that it requires that much um, deliberation, because there's no question about it. Obviously, we respect the people that have fought in wars past, and at the same time, like you guys said, African Americans have fought alongside with white Americans in all of those wars and have not gotten the respect that they deserve for it either. And um, there's just, to me, there's just no contest. We're talking about a flag that represents American democracy, and innately in that is the right to protest. So I just don't see how you can, it's like you said, Cam, where it's like you're just limited. Your sight is limited. Like, you only have had this white experience in America where the flag is never to be crossed, but that's because you've not had to protest for any of your rights. Like, you're just given it.
I actually want to rephrase that, because thinking about it, it's funny because that's not true. It really is only when it's nothing but hypocrisy when it comes to that, because when it comes to people of color, they're not allowed to be patriotic if it makes white people uncomfortable.
Right. If you don't like it, get out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Funny enough, it always seems to be the case when Obama was president, criticizing him all the time and criticizing his policy, his character was totally fine. They loved their country and they weren't going to let Obama destroy it.
Yeah.
And they were doing their duty as a patriot. Now a white man's in the presidency again. You have to respect the office. How it's un-American to disrespect the office. How dare you speak poorly of the office of the president? It goes back to this idea that largely whenever it's inconvenient or uncomfortable for them, they hijack the narrative. They claim the patriotism. They only see humanity through the lens of their own existence and don't allow it for anyone else. That's why we always get these mirror examples where they're the sanctity of the flag, yet white conservatives are more common than not to legally disrespect the flag code, wearing
bikinis,
red, white, and blue bikinis, towels. They constantly are disrespecting the flag in the way it's meant to be shown and treated as an image.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's something, when the United States is being called out, when it's their perception of how great this country is being called and being challenged, suddenly the flag, it's a sacred item. Suddenly the flag is more representative of America than the people in it, more representative than the rights that the people have. Now the flag has the rights, and you must bow down and respect it because you don't have any rights. You're black. I mean, why are you complaining?
Well, and I mean also when you're talking about protesting the flag for as a symbolic gesture, especially in terms of protests around Black Lives Matter. You know, I think in the
Wait,
same.
can I do one thing? I just want to clarify, but like no one is protesting the flag.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's the thing.
Thank you.
That's the whole thing, and that's the point that's getting missed. So like I understand why you're mentioning it, because like that's the conversation they're having. But then like what the conversation that we're supposed to actually be having is that it has nothing to do with the flag.
And that's the point. They've done a great job of somehow hijacking the message. So now, but that was my point about it. Was even on that point, like even when you try to hijack the message, it's built into entitlement and
Mike, stop
and
hijacking
racism.
the message.
You got me all wild.
I know.
Okay, I can't protest the flag.
But that's the idea, that they hijacked it and they changed the narrative from peaceful protests of police brutality, which suddenly now they want nothing but peaceful protests because, oh God forbid, a few stragglers here and there start rioting a little bit. Now all we want is peaceful protests. But then when Colin Kaepernick was peacefully protesting, that's not how you protest. Come on, man. What are you doing? Why are you using it? How dare
also,
you?
Keep in mind that he started off protesting by just having a seat. And then after getting advice from a member of the military, he suggested that he take a knee. So a member of the military says, hey, sitting is disrespectful. Taking a knee is a much better position for you to take.
Who gives a fuck what the military thinks?
But I'm just saying, for people that are...
Respect the flag. The flag is the symbol of all those military members who died fighting for your rights. And that man who...
Black lives aren't Americans.
That's my favorite part. Like, people are just like totally ignoring the whole point. It's to go back to Drew Brees, when he was asked that question, he answered or I don't know what he was answering, to be honest. He did not address what was asked to him. It's
like he'd even mentioned what they were kneeling about. He
just starts talking about his grandparents. Like, no one asked you about your grandparents.
That's the whole point. He couldn't even like think to stay on topic about like, are you okay with it? And he said, are you okay with kneeling? And he kind of addressed it, but then he just made it all about himself and his image of what the flag means to him. And that's
why I feel like his message was prepared, because he didn't know how to answer. So he went to the stock answer that he probably had from when the Kaepernick shit was kicking off a couple years ago. Probably. And he just freestyled off of that prepared answer that he had before, because totally didn't address the question. Started talking about something completely different. And then the actual, because I know that you guys aren't buying. I know you guys aren't buying his like apology or whatever, but honestly, like, I don't believe that Drew Brees is a horrible person. I'm going to put that out there. Like, I think he lives in a bubble. I think he has white privilege, and I think he just doesn't know the realities, and he doesn't see what other, people of color are experiencing. So not that he's just evil and thinks that black people should die, but like, he doesn't know.
But that's the thing, though. He may not be like a Klansman, like literally lynching people, but he's doing a great disservice by basically the end of his answer was, well, can't we just all get along? Like if we just all held hands.
Yeah, sure, Drew.
Like, can we just all hold hands and then everything would be okay? Like, for one thing, let's get this straight. Black people are not the problem. Black people are not the reason why we are being brutalized. Yes, it's Mike's fault. Everybody blame Mike. Mike and Drew Brees.
Honestly, I have to be completely honest. Not a huge sports guy. No idea who Drew Brees was.
Good.
I think honestly, I think he should take a page from Dave Chappelle and
shut the fuck up.
Yeah, like we don't really need to hear from him on this matter.
Right.
Exactly. Like that's my thing. Like, if you need to apologize because you're so ignorant on it, you should have shut the fuck up from the start. Mm-hmm. Like, you shouldn't, like, just stop talking and just listen.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's just like an inherent nature. Like, you hear criticism and you want to get defensive and you want to fight back without listening. I always get this expression mixed up about you're listening but not you're hearing but not listening. One of those
Right.
ways,
Yeah,
right?
that's that.
And it always seems to be that way. They always want to talk, and then I was ignorant to the fact. Then you shouldn't have said anything to begin with. But
Hmm.
you didn't realize you were ignorant
You research.
until we told you you were ignorant, right? It just seems to be
Walk a
uh,
mile in my shoes. Well, not mine, but
and just to kind of to wrap this up, there's also been recently a a trend of well, for one, I'll just go through it. Uh, the only African American NASCAR driver has called for the Confederate flag to be removed from all NASCAR events. He
And it was
even
successful, right?
Bubba
man,
Wall Bubba Wallace. He started. He actually drove in an event with a kind of a Black Lives Matter logoed car. NASCAR actually agreed with his call to action and have
Hmm.
banned the flag from all their events. I expect a lot of NASCAR fans to be very angry at it. The call seems to have gotten the support of other drivers. I don't know how I don't know how sincere they are, but just good for them. Good for
I mean, I
them.
guess it. No,
Good,
I'm not
good
really.
for
I'm not giving them any applause for that though. Like,
yeah. Good for them for not sticking their foots in their mouth and just like knowing to just shut the hell up and
they
I
did better than
guess.
Starbucks.
huh?
They did better than Starbucks.
Oh, that'll be a topic for another day. But and so in addition to that, there have been a lot of and as a part of these Floyd protests, there have been a lot of calls to and actually a bunch of Confederate statues and actually a few Christopher Columbus statues have been either
Beheaded.
vandalized or completely removed. Um, so I think so. I completely agree with all this. I think these are all symbols of racism and oppression. But a large defense of keeping these flags and keeping these statues and these monuments is one, they're representative of the South or American history, and they're also a part of American Southern heritage and pride. What do you guys think about that?
Take them down.
I mean, I don't.
Losers. We don't. We're protecting the losers. Nah,
Thank you.
there's
I
more.
just. I just don't understand where the sense of pride comes from. Like, why you would publicly want to be proud of those things. And one thing is like, okay, you can say it's, I guess, erasing history, but like no one's saying take it out of the school books. Like, it's not that we should learn that these things happen. I'm
Yeah.
just saying don't glorify them by giving them a statue, because that in its own right has a sense of, you know, like has a positive spin on it. There's a difference between stating something factually in a history book, which I'm sure will continue, versus building a memorial essentially of a person who has racist or, you know, some other types of, you know, whatever poor feelings. I feel like um, whenever, okay, just because it's awkward, they're all messaging me right now because there's a dog and it's very distracting. There's a dog outside. Sorry, we're gonna hear the dog. I lost my train of thought now. We're not praising. We shouldn't be praising these, you know, Civil War heroes who, one, lost, and two, were just outright racist. Like, you shouldn't be proud of that. So that doesn't make sense to me. You're being proud of losing. Don't get that. And if it's your history, like, you can be proud of your grandmother who made like great apple pies or something. Like, you shouldn't be proud of someone who was just like
Fighting
trying
for
to
slaves.
own slaves. Like that doesn't connect. I don't get it.
I think there are two things that point out that stick out to me about this issue. One is the fact that, like we said, these are the losers. But not only that, but I guess we'll say stereotypically, we consider a lot of let's say white Southerners. They seem to have be the ones who hold this high, who hold themselves up to be American patriots, to be true Americans, true patriots, and yet they're also the ones who fight for this, to maintain these flags and these statues.
Yeah.
I find that interesting. I find it interesting that, like, you realize that this was a country who committed a group of states formed a separate country and rebelled against America, the America that you love, the America that is represented by that flag that you won't let people kneel during anthems of, and you're waving that flag around um, in pride, yet you claim to be more patriotic and hold the mantle of patriotism as solely belonging to you, and these other people aren't allowed to be patriots. That's one thing. Secondly, it's interesting that they're told, because, like, whenever, like, when these interactions occur, like, people know that, like, this flag is a symbol of racism. It was a flag waved during the Civil War by the South that wanted to maintain slavery.
Mhm.
They either don't know, which is, I guess that's more of an indictment of the
Education
educational
system.
system in
Yeah.
America, and particularly in southern states,
Mhm.
but also the idea that, knowing that this is a symbol of oppression and racism, and yet you're cool with it, and you, like, be like, this, I grew up with this, so I wanted to stay, even if I know it hurts a lot of other people. This lack of empathy for others that, once again, you don't share the perspective with, is just mind-boggling to me. And, like, I'm just curious. I imagine, like, if you were to ask them, like, do they think that the Nazi flag should be flown in
Some of them do.
Germany? Yeah,
Some of them do.
I'm well, I'm saying, like, for the most part, like, would they understand why Jewish people of Jewish descent, would be offended and think that it's a travesty that that flag is being waved? I'm sure a good number of them would, but they can't make the connection that this is a very similar experience for us, for the people who see that flag, that is just a reminder that it's just a reminder of the racial disparity and the hate that still exists in this country.
It's very hard for people to unlearn things, and that goes across the board. So, these people have been told their entire lives that they should be proud of the Confederate flag, and for the most part, no one. It's not like people are going into the Deep South and like arguing it. It's like only when the big media big media groups come up and address it and say, hey, this flag means this, or like when we address certain football teams that have possibly definitely racist mascots, and it's only when those things are brought to like mainstream attention that it really becomes an issue, because no one's going into the small town in Georgia or North Carolina or wherever and is like, hey, this is racist, right? Like, no one's doing that. So these people don't ever have to think about these things. It's just accepted and it's learned, and it's been their entire way of life. And it's like you were saying earlier, you try to tell someone something based in fact, And it's like their first reaction is to get defensive. I mean, that's kind of human nature. Like, you're going to defend what you know or what you believe is true. And not that it's correct, but that's the reality of it. And until people are making the choice to actively unlearn things and, you know, not be like Drew Brees and just think of things from your own perspective and your own worldview, like, nothing is going to change in those regards. And like, I'm glad people are kind of forcing the statues to come down, because they wouldn't make the choice on their own.
Yeah.
They're not, especially the older generations, like, they just have to die out, and then hopefully we can fix our education system. It's asking for a lot, I know, but, you know, have people have a sense of awareness of what these things really mean and the impact that it has on others. If that doesn't happen, like, there's no change.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest part of it, is that, like, re-education and, like, even like just reflections in the media, because, like, as you were talking, I was thinking about the Dukes of Hazzard, who
Yeah,
had the flag on
on
their
TV, on the car, every day.
every week or whatever. And so, like, education, re-education, and, like, needs to be not re-education, but just honest and thorough education of America. Like, the American like educational system has to be more honest with itself in terms of how, the truth of the country, or America in general needs to be more honest about the truth of the nation. Like, the Confederacy weren't just some rebellious uh, Southern boys who just loved America and were fighting to keep Southern roots. They were fighting to maintain slaves. They wanted slavery to maintain a fact of life, to the point where they were willing to kill other Americans, sometimes even family, on the opposite side of the field, on the battlefield, in order to get what they wanted, in order to keep what they believe was right, and which we know is fundamentally wrong.
I mean, yeah, and just to echo, like, I mean, the hypocrisy of it, just for the fact that these are some of the same people that, say that you shouldn't disrespect the flag, you shouldn't, you should, you should practice peaceful protesting, etc. Fighting for the Confederate flag at the same time was an act of, in terms of American unity now, an act of treason, going against the country, trying to form a separatist, confederacy, and it's just hypocritical if you think about it, because you're fighting for you're fighting for American unity now, and then you're waving around the Confederate flag, and it's like, well, you realize what they did, right? Like, same with the "Don't Tread on Me" flag. These are people who want to, support Trump now and support the government, whatever they have instituted, and yet they boast a "Don't Tread on Me" flag. But when, like you said, when Obama was president, can't let him destroy this American nation, So, but we feel like we could go in circles about this all day.
Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting kind of series of events that are unfolding recently. But I think let's change gears a little bit onto a more I guess slightly less tumultuous topic, still involving blackness, but Beyonce.
Let's.
That can be, I think that might be more controversial than the Confederate flag sometimes, but so
The Beehive goes hard.
They do. They're scary. But come on, you want to tell us about this, because this is something you brought to my attention.
So yeah, there's been rumors of Beyonce signing $100 million 3-movie deal with Disney. She had already worked with Disney doing the Lion King remake, and which was not great in my opinion. Beyonce in particular was not great in my opinion. And I'm gonna go out and say, I don't know if I'm Beehive necessarily. I love Beyonce. I think she's great. I like her music. totally fine with her as a human being. I think she does great, social work and social commentary with her music and her videos and stuff like that. Amazing. Acting, voice acting, whatever, not where she needs to be. Her role as Nala in Lion King was not good. It felt forced. It was like, let's put Beyonce in this just to get some buzz. It just didn't seem necessary. There was like, for a movie that was word for word a remake, for a movie that was so close to the original, and then for them to have like manufactured or like written new words,
they made her part bigger.
Yeah, like they made her part bigger than it was in the original, and it was like, yeah, well, you paid her millions of dollars. I hope her part would be bigger, but I mean, it just wasn't good. So the rumor that came up, or the rumor that got the most attention, was that she would be tied to Black Panther Part 2. Black Panther 1 was a critical success. It was a box office success, and as black as that movie was, it seems like people really do not want Beyonce to be a part of it. There's a petition going around. I signed the petition as well, and it's the Keep Beyonce Out of Black Panther 2 petition. And I don't know if she's going to play Storm. That feels like I saw an image with her as Storm. I don't know if that's what the rumor officially says. I've seen things that say she's just tied to the soundtrack. I've seen things that say she's going to be doing kind of voiceover work for some of the Disney Plus documentaries. But people have seen her name attached to Black Panther 2, and they are not having it. I think that's super interesting because I'm not about it. And I don't know how you guys feel.
And that's because of her skill wise.
I think this just needs to be said. Beyonce sucks as an actress. She sucks. She sucked in Austin Powers.
She didn't suck in Goldmember.
She wasn't great. Okay. You can be as terrible as you want, Beehive member. Okay. She is not a strong actress.
What was the movie that she did? Dreamgirls. She wasn't bad in Dreamgirls.
Yeah, I was thinking of that one.
I'm saying all this. I still don't want her in the movie. I'm just trying not to get attacked by the Beehive.
I think the general consensus. All right, yeah. Let me apologize to the Beehive because we want to keep the viewers. She was. All right.
Wouldn't it be Beehive?
That doesn't sound. All right, your whiteness is showing. Moving on.
Yeah. All right. So she's not a strong actress, whether it's live action or voiceover, which makes even bringing up like doing voiceover for some documentaries, even that sounds terrible. But I think it was the idea of her being attached to Black Panther 2 that made it like a definite no, because I think a large part of it was, for one, she wouldn't do Black Panther and be Nala again.
Say that again?
Like, she wouldn't do Black Panther 2 and be Nala again. Some small role. Some small role that's barely in there.
Not for $30 million.
And so that's the idea. And so the fans, particularly comic book fans, because they've known that like there's a lot of speculation still about where Black Panther is going. I think there's speculation about Namor being brought in, and the idea now that Disney has acquired the rights to Fox, they now have the X-Men. So
introducing Storm
because T'Challa and Aurora have a history together.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a major factor. The biggest factor, aside from her being a weak actress, is the idea that the possibility of her playing this iconic character. Nobody wants that. Like, Storm is one of the most iconic comic book characters of all time. She's one of the most iconic female characters, iconic Black characters. She's way more well known than T'Challa or Black Panther ever was. So like her value to the history of of the industry is way more potent. So the idea that she would be a character introduced in this movie, because she would be a part of that character will be a part of future films and iterations. To have Beyonce, this weak actress, not only that, but like there's also like the idea of colorism possibly also being involved.
True.
It's just there's just no reason why she should be involved in this. Honestly, they probably shouldn't even bring Storm into the second one. That's another story for another day. But I can't think of a good reason for her to be a part of that franchise in that way. If she's some new supporting character, I don't know, even like some like new created love interest, or just like a cool female character, that's fine. But Storm is a terrible idea.
It just seems unnecessary, especially for the amount of money. So if that's one of the 3 movies, if she has a limited role as like a part of her deal in Black Panther, that would be a waste of funds, a waste of resources to spend, averaging $33 million across all 3 of those movies.
That might have been her asking price, though.
I mean, I'm just going off of what was reported, right? So if it was $100 million, and if she has a limited role for one of those movies, that's a waste of money. Like, you could have got so many other people for a way better price. She can act, like you said. And then no one is asking for this. It's not like Disney is struggling to make money, or like the Marvel movies need a lifeline. Like, I could understand if it was struggling. Like, if DC was like, listen, Justice League is trash.
DC doing that.
We need Beyonce. Like,
I could see DC doing that.
If they did that, I'll be like, I get it.
I can see DC saying like, oh, you know what, guys? I think we need to recast Wonder Woman. Let's make it Beyonce, and they'd be like, "Hey, we got Beyonce. Look at that. Now we have a Black Wonder Woman. Oh my God, look at that, guys! Like, come watch our movie." I can see DC doing, like, Black Panther made billions of dollars without Beyonce.
Right.
Like,
so there's no need.
Off the strength of James Brown and Jackie Robinson playing your protagonist, you're okay. You don't need Beyonce to do that. I feel like you're spending more money than you're gonna make on this move. Actually, I feel like the Hive would get super excited about it.
No, but they were gonna go see it anyway. It's the same Black people that were gonna watch Black Panther 2 anyway. You're not getting new fans.
I take that back. You don't think
Black Panther 1 got people that were not comic book fans, that were not, Marvel fans. If you were just Black, or if you were just like, Mike, sorry. I'm just saying, like, there was a lot of people that went to go watch that movie, and
because of the movement, the hype, yeah.
Right, exactly. So it's not like, you're tapping into like a whole new audience or something.
But like, all right, so do you believe that Black Panther 2 would do the same numbers without Beyonce?
Without Beyonce, like, roughly. Like, Beyonce's not bringing in an extra
$30 million.
Like, I mean,
wait, do you think
30 million? I don't know.
You think Beyonce brings in the extra? All right, see now I'm arguing for Disney's rationale for it.
But that's first of all, that's chump change for Disney. Like, they're not doing it for millions. They've got to be thinking billions here, because those movies are bringing in with action figures. Imagine a Beyonce action figure. That's like a moneymaker. That's generational.
They wouldn't get that right. Money. First thing, they probably wouldn't get it right to begin with.
Of course not, because it's a Black woman. Like, first of all, she'd be 3 shades lighter.
Yeah, it would be like the best.
She'd be extra bootylicious. Like, she'd be curvy as hell. Like, unrealistically, it would be all up.
Mom.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't think it's worth it. I mean, I don't think it's worth what, for how bad it could be. I don't think it's worth it.
So we're Beyonce, keep your paws off of Black Panther.
But like, what do you feel about her playing Storm in particular?
It shouldn't happen. I mean, like you were saying, with all the not the like just the credibility or the lore and everything about the Storm character, it has to be done right, in my opinion, especially in the movement that we're in now, right? Because this will be, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Storm would be in like this past 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and like all that coming back into popularity. She would be the first Black major hero, right?
She'd be the first Black superhero. Yeah.
Right.
Because all the supporting cast of Black Panther were not superheroes. So yeah, she would be the first Black female superhero in the Marvel.
You have to do it right. Like you have to do it justice. You have to put someone who is going to take the time, and not to say that Beyonce is a careless or like, carefree person, not to say that she wouldn't try, but like there are so many other people that could really just, put in the work and like refine the craft and give Black women what Black men got with T'Challa. And, not that T'Challa was just for men or anything, but like that was like, that whole representation thing, right? Like representation matters. To give a Black woman that can really deliver an opportunity. Like I would love to see just like someone who's unknown that's just super good. Like the same way we had Lupita come up off of 12 Years a Slave, of course, like Black woman blows up off a slave movie. But like that type of meteoric rise after like one movie, if like the next Storm had that type of trajectory, like that would be amazing to me. Like Beyonce doesn't need it at all. Like give someone else that shine.
And not only that, but then like I said, it's like just so like people who don't, I don't know if Mike is like aware of this, but like for people who are watching or listening to this, in like oftentimes throughout the history of this, Storm, like outside of Cyclops, Storm has been the leader of the X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously you have Professor Xavier. Storm has been the leader of the X-Men.
She's the one on the ground, like actually putting in the work.
So she may be like, aside from like the other like usual suspects in terms of like important male characters, she's probably the most important Fox character for Disney.
In terms of
comic book films,
Wolverine.
I said aside from like Xavier, Magneto, and Wolverine.
I mean, that's a lot of people.
Those are three people. Aside from those three, she's arguably the most important character, and like she's the one who could get like a solo film. Like I don't think most other female characters from like those Fox properties could carry a film. Like,
female characters, no.
She's the one.
No, you've got Phoenix Girl, Jean Grey.
Jean Grey's always been a side character. She's always been like part of the team. With
the potential to have her own movie, she could definitely have, because they even did that last X-Men movie where she was a central part of the plot. I think give Jean Grey some respect. The Phoenix storyline is kind of fire. I've always been a fan. I'm just saying.
But she still wasn't. But she wasn't. It was still an ensemble film, even though she was like, I guess she was the protagonist.
I'm just saying, for its potential to lead a solo.
Wait.
I think Jean Grey has it.
Question. Wait, let me question. Who? What do you think is going to make more money? A well-made Jean Grey movie or a well-made Storm movie in Marvel?
A well-made Storm movie.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But she's not the only one. I'm just saying she's not the only one. She's not the only one.
So stop. You want discredit?
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Cause right now. But like, long story short, she's still the most important. She's the most important one, and
she's the most important woman.
Okay, gosh, this man's going to drive me crazy.
I'm just saying.
Long story short, they have a great opportunity now because a large criticism online and in the public sphere have been that like Fox has relatively dropped the ball when it comes to these X-Men movies in recent years, since like X2.
After like the first three. Yeah, I'm being generous, but really, yeah.
No disrespect to Halle Berry. She was a secondary character. She really didn't get a chance to really dig sink her teeth into that role in the subsequent films. So like this is everyone presumes that Marvel will do her justice in terms of just making her a well-rounded character, but giving her depth, her telling her story in terms of her African heritage.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great opportunity, and to have Beyonce a part of that
Makes it deeper,
nah.
lessens it.
And let's be not be honest. It'd be nice to have a dark skinned Storm.
Mm-hmm.
It would be nice. It'd be nice.
I think that would hit amongst the Black community, and this is where you get into like the politics of it all, right? Because like,
but politics is money sometimes, and they
no,
know
it
that.
is, and that's what I'm going to, because like I understand that the industry is very timid as far as taking, uncertain steps, right? Because even before Black Panther came out, it was still like, I don't know if this is going to sell internationally. People don't want to watch Black people on TV outside of America. Not that they really want to watch them inside of America either. But, now you're putting a dark-skinned Black woman as Storm. That's another step that hasn't been taken yet. Like we got Lupita and I'm forgetting the one that plays, is her name Nakia in
I don't remember the love interest. I know it starts with an N.
I'm blanking, but the two other women in Black Panther were all dark skinned for the most part, which was great, but they weren't the lead, and also just like really talented actresses. So for Storm now, they should really try to put in someone like of that talent level. Ideally dark skin, but I could understand if they're like, okay, we don't know. There's going to be risk. Like I know that that's going to be a conversation that's had.
Yeah, it will. Of course, it will
Not
be.
Really,
yeah,
but like they're going to think about the optics of like putting that type of person up.
It wouldn't that wouldn't be my first one of my first big parameters if like she's like super dark skinned or not. Like I would want, for one, like the actress needs to be great and the script needs to be amazing for her. Like those and like it just needs to be cast well. Those are my major things, and then like you can go into discussion about whether you're doing a disservice by going on the lighter side to kind of placate to things, or whether it matters, and I'm sure there'll even be discussions about like how dark skinned Storm really is.
True.
I'm sure that will happen too. But just know, we love you, Beyonce. We love you as an artist, as a icon of not only Black but like American culture today. But stay away from Storm.
Not this time.
You can do other stuff with Disney. I'm sure, like even other movies. I don't care. Like Disney could do
a cool remake or something.
They could do whatever they want with just stay away from Storm. You can be a part of Black Panther if you want. Just stay away from Storm.
Soundtrack, Black Panther soundtrack. She should be all up in that.
Need songs.
You gonna pay $30 million for some songs for some Black Panther 2 soundtrack? Really?
I'd rather her do that than mess up a movie, because
her
Nala role literally like took me out of the movie. It was so jarring to me.
You know what took me out of the
movie?
movie?
Who is this Texan woman?
Like, you know what took me out the movie? Me not being there.
Oh, you didn't see it?
Nah. Well, I got Lion King on DVD and VHS. Why do I need to see the same exact movie again?
I mean,
Once I heard they broke like $1 billion, I was like, oh, Donald don't need my support. He's good.
I was there for the big homie Donald.
He already got that Disney money. He already did Solo already. So, but yeah.
We're at like an hour and a half.
All right. Let's we can just hit through these last two things really quick.
Speed round.
So you mentioned before when we were kind of prepping that there have been talks about Amazon possibly purchasing AMC theaters, and they're
So right now with like the climate that we're in post-COVID and everything, social distancing, AMC theaters are struggling because obviously people aren't able to go into their theaters and, you know,
Yeah.
and see movies. If Amazon was to do that, the idea, well, what's happening currently, technically, is that if Amazon makes like a big budget movie and they want it to have like Oscar contention, they do have to show it in theaters. So usually they have to strike a deal with these theaters, and AMC will be like, okay, we'll show your movie, but you have to show it only at our theaters for like 3 months, and then after that, you can stream it everywhere, and everyone else can have it. So that's like the deal that most of these like Amazon Prime, Netflix,
Apple.
all these other, right, they've been having to strike those kinds of deals for like exclusive rights for a period of time, and then also because they want to be able to contend for Oscars. And then after that period of time, then they just stream it whatever platform they want to use. But if Amazon was to purchase, AMC, because they're probably going to go bankrupt otherwise, the ability they would have is to now have it in theaters and stream it at the same time, and they have complete control of how people are watching the movie. My question is, Amazon, at least right now, isn't putting out like Marvel level budget movies, right? But if they get to a point where,
but I'm sure they have the money.
Yeah, but I mean, well, that's another discussion. But my question is, like, if they get to the point where they're putting out that type of movie where it really is going to have like a big screen impact, like whether it's 3D, IMAX 3D, or whether just the scope of the movie, it's going to be lending well to a bigger screen. Would you guys be okay like giving up the theater experience? Would you just watch it at home, or would you want to go like to an Amazon theater? Because I feel like some people, if they have the choice, they're going to stay home and watch it because they don't want to deal with other people, I guess, or lines or overpriced popcorn and snacks. So how would you guys go about it?
I don't know. I would probably say, do what you can to save the theater, but the streaming services are taking over, and
yeah, they're gonna die.
Yeah, it's just it's just the changing of the times. I mean, I love watching movies in the theater, but I probably have seen. I don't know. I would probably say I've had more transformative experiences watching movies at the theater than I have watching at home. But you know, if it means not having theaters at all, you know, they might have to buy them.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I agree with you. Like, I have better experiences watching movies in theaters. Like, I am a go to the movie theater by myself and watch 2 movies back to back by myself. Do it on Christmas Day. I'm a theater person, and if the only way AMC is going to continue being a thing is if Amazon buys it out, I'm for it because I will be in the theaters. But for me, the main part of it is like the experience of watching a movie in a social setting that I feel like you just don't get at home. Like if you can watch it with friends and family, I guess, but 2 movies that stick out to me, in The Last Avengers, at the end with the Captain America Assemble line, like when everybody comes back, like that experience in theaters is like chilling. Like it's just crazy, like the energy that you feel in the crowd. And then when I watched Get Out, not to ruin it, but the scene at the end of the movie, and I mean, Get Out's been out for a while. I feel like I can talk about it anymore. A cop shows up in the movie, and everyone, at least all the black people, were just like shook by the presence of this police officer. And that was another one that's like you could just feel it in the air that everyone was tense. And I feel like it's not that you wouldn't be tense at home by yourself, but it's very validating and kind of communal to experience that. And it amplifies the movie watching experience to me. So like I wouldn't want to give that up. So like I'm all for Amazon, as much as like we all say like Amazon is already this big monster that's taking over everything, every asset of our lives, or every aspect of our lives. I need theaters. I'm especially an AMC person. Like that's my go-to theater. So if they got to do it, let them do it.
Yeah, and it's not like it's kind of a thing that's happening because of the times, right? It's not like,
Yeah.
naturally their sales have declined, although I'm sure they have since, streaming services began, but it's a survival thing, I guess, for them.
Um, I'm torn because, like you alluded to, I'm not the biggest fan of the Amazon monopolization that's exists at this point. So just adding to them, like them physically own, because I'm sure AMC is one of the largest
It's the number
theater.
one.
It's the
Yeah.
number one, right? I had a feeling.
Yeah.
So like them now owning the largest theater chain in the country or whatever, it's like monopolies of like on that scale are just like such a shitty and like dangerous thing to have.
Yeah.
Like like we already like they already like we already see like the exploitation that like goes on with Amazon just through their site and their selling their
Mm-hmm.
sales through their retailing. So the idea of this kind of bothers me, but I understand what you're saying, and I kind of agree. It kind of reminds me of the like concerts. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can always like we have music in the like in our pockets, but like sometimes like there's something unique and special and kind of like irreplaceable about the that in person uh, communal experience with experiencing like that kind of art, particularly like film and
Mm-hmm.
music. Um, so I would, if it meant like the livelihood of AMC or like theaters or a large number of theaters staying viable, I guess so. I would love for like another way for it to work out. Even though
Yeah.
I don't know, even other companies. Oh God, that sounds terrible too. But I guess
I
I
mean,
guess I guess
like,
if it means their extinction, I'd want them to stay.
would
I,
you feel better if it was like Netflix that bought them out as opposed to Amazon?
I don't know. I'd rather have the mom and pop liquor store around the corner just buy up all the theaters.
I mean,
But
the only way they survive is if we go there and buy their like $15 popcorn, like because that's the only way that they're gonna have
I guess that's true.
any type of profit.
But that's still part of it too. Like nobody, like people go and buy overpriced popcorn and stuff like that. So and they buy the overpriced terrible hot dogs and nachos and chips and candy and sodas and so people buy it even though they know they're like paying an
They're paying for the
extremely
experience.
yeah they're paying for the experience. So people are willing to spend money on the experience that they feel is worthwhile. Um,
There's gonna be a line that's drawn at some point
yeah, I guess
because those prices get to a certain point. It's gonna be like, I could just sneak some food in, or I could watch this at home,
I already do
like,
that.
or I just won't buy it. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
people are already not buying it because the prices are too high. The
I
movie
mean,
ticket prices are
and like
gonna go up,
the
or the food's gonna go up, or both.
I mean, and then if AMC is struggling, then I'm sure like what you call it, you would have to think that like
The
what's
smaller
the other
ones
one?
also.
Regal.
Yeah.
Regal is, which I'm guessing is probably like second or third or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
is on the verge also. And like, what's
Probably.
stopping Amazon from buying the rest of it? And God, like, who knows? I don't know. Maybe
I don't think Netflix would
maybe
let them.
maybe their pockets can't go that deep. What for Netflix to allow them to get AMC would be, or any like for to allow one company that owns so much that has so much like financial influence and power to allow Amazon to purchase the biggest movie chain in the country in the world is absurd to me. So I don't know.
Big Jeff
Um,
got the bills though.
he does.
Jeff got it.
Another
He got it
another
like
thing
that.
I was thinking about was um like we've talked about before this new normal. Um, if like movie theaters are even like capable of being redeemed, like with COVID going around and like waves constantly coming
Mm-hmm.
coming and going. Um, before, unless there's like some type of vaccine or like something, or there's like some certainty about autoimmunity and like um, antibodies and things like that. The idea of being in a theater where you're like in this enclosed, air conditioned space where you're all circling the same air seems like it could be a dangerous situation going forward. I mean,
they would have to take similar precautions as like what we were mentioning before with the comedy clubs and things like that. But it's just if people are going to be willing to do that, especially when they could be safe at home and get the same movie.
Yeah, I think that also might be a part of it. Like if I guess it depends on how this new like to what extent this new normal like exists, like how it actually like if it's some constant thing, if it's this like continually like waxing it. That's a wrong analogy. Waxing or waning wave of cases and infections and remissions or whatever you want to call it, and recoveries. Then like I'm not sure how they survive from that.
This was supposed to be a speed round. We still got to get. We're gonna be pushing 2 hours in a bit. You want to do our reaction to the pretzels?
Yeah, let's do it.
Mike, take it over.
I had asked these gentlemen to, if they were pretzel fans, and then again, this shows my whiteness, but I've been introduced to a brand of pretzels that is known as the Pride of Dakota, from somebody I knew who came from that area, and they showed me these pretzels one day, and my mind was simply blown. Dots pretzels. They have an interesting background, not only in taste and flavor, but they do sell them on Amazon. Speaking of, to go full circle here, but they sell them at Ace Hardware.
Ace is the place where the
Ace is the place with
exactly.
Come on the show. We're not sponsored by Ace Hardware, but
yeah,
shout out Ace Hardware.
We can be.
They are an essential business, so they're keeping up. But yeah, I don't know the backstory behind that, but I know that they're sold at Ace Hardware. So I
next to the hammers.
Next to the hammers. Actually, no, they sell them right up front by the registers, so like they get you. But I am in love with these pretzels. They're a great snack. They're definitely not healthy. There's different flavors, but I wanted these guys to try them because they hadn't had the pleasure of it, and so we wanted to film their reaction.
All right, so Teddy's open. Teddy's bad boys open.
Yeah, I'm going smell test first. Get a wash. Wow, that's a strong odor. I'm not gonna lie, like not super appealing right off the bat.
What?
There's definitely, I can tell there's like some flavor gonna hit my taste buds.
Yeah. And it's a refillable bag?
It smells like packaging.
Yes, it is. It is resealable.
Yeah.
It's like it smells buttery. It smells like popcorn.
Just to be clear, I sent
I don't even know what that is.
pretzels, 2 1-pound bags to each of these guys.
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Whether we like them or not, we're gonna eat it.
Yep.
Are we doing it at the same time?
I'm gonna try one.
Yeah, I'm doing one also.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, silence. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Let's go another one.
Oh, he's going in for another one. Kamal's deep in thought.
Can I go?
Yeah.
So they don't taste bad. I can definitely understand if you're a fan of pretzels and you're tired of the everyday mundane pretzel. You might want to shake things up a little bit.
Oh
and,
man,
and come with some new flavors. I'm just saying, Dots. I see what you're doing here. I see what you're doing.
I mean, when you live in North Dakota, you have a lot of time on your hands.
Listen,
Oh,
shout out to North Dakota or South Dakota. North Dakota, yes. Shout out to North Dakota. I think you guys are a little racist. Maybe not. We'll see. Might fix that in post.
That I don't know.
I see the appeal. I don't think it's for me. I like a solid, basic pretzel.
Oh.
So like the buttery flavor.
It takes it to another level. Like it steps it up. It's garlicky too. It's not just butter.
That's it. It's
garlic.
Listen, I love that there's flavor.
They're so coated, like
it's garlicky and salty.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Just
the coating is to me is impressive. But what's your thoughts?
I'm not a huge pretzel guy, but it's not bad. Like I said, it's the garlic adds like an interesting feel to it. Yeah, dry garlic in it. It adds like a little bit of a kick to it.
Mm-hmm. Look at that, not bad. I got a not bad. Come on, still taking some.
So. I mean, I'm gonna eat it. I got 2 bags. I'm gonna eat it.
All right. Well,
there's people starving in the world. I'm gonna eat these pretzels.
That means you could give it to them.
Yeah, I don't know if they could live off of Dot's pretzels,
Man.
but
well, they can't. They'll be better off with them than without them, right?
Yeah, maybe. Sure.
So,
well, now you guys have a precious snack. Any last thoughts? Any parting wisdom?
I'm gonna say I definitely see where you're going with it. I appreciate the recommendation.
Yes.
For anyone out there that wants to possibly try Dot's pretzels, I say you go for it. It might be for you.
It has his stamp of approval.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's not bad. So I think it's definitely a good pretzel snack if that's your.
If you like pretzels and you need to throw another option in your rotation,
this
is it. This is the one.
I'm trying to think. I can't think of the brand of like the typical like potato chip pretzel.
Lay's. What's the pretzel one? It's the yellow blue bag.
Yeah, the yellow blue. Yeah.
What, Rolls Golds?
Rolls
yeah,
Gold.
I think. Is it Rolls or is it Royal?
No, I think it's Gold.
Rolled Golds? Something like that?
Something like that. I think Golds are in it, yeah. So yeah, I think I like these better than those. Those are kind of just like.
No, I'd go with those all day.
Those are more.
I like a plain pretzel.
Yeah.
But I also like plain Lay's. Like I don't do like honey barbecue chips. Like I don't do that.
This man is a monster.
Yeah.
This
so like that's.
I should have said that. Get homeboy up the show. Get homeboy up the show. This is crazy.
All right, whatever.
Like, what's your favorite chip? Regular.
I didn't say that.
Average.
We can do a chip ranking in another episode. I'm not
mediocre.
saying Lay's is my number one. I'm saying I enjoy.
What's your favorite chip? Mediocre flavor.
Okay. Next, speed round. Next. Are we wrapping up, or we have something else?
I think that was.
Oh man! So we start with Black Lives Matter, end on Kavon's mediocre love of plain chips.
Listen, the man likes what he likes, okay, but not like.
I'm not here to be judged.
I mean, that's almost as taking.
Whoa. Hold on. I'm not here to be judged by a person who eats apple slices and cashews as a snack.
I was just gonna say.
Wait.
Who does that?
I don't
apple
know
slices and cashews.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Show the viewers.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Deny it. Go ahead and deny it. Everyone out there, let's everyone know this guy today, right now, is eating cashews and green apple slices. Somewhere off screen, that's what he has on his plate. So I don't want to hear anything about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Plain chips.
I'm gonna remember this. I'm remember you making these fibs about me.
You go right ahead.
Next time we review my favorite pretzel. No, just kidding.
We'll review the slightly salted ones.
Yeah. No, you guys should do the what do you call them? Mustard pretzels.
That sounds less appetizing. I don't know.
Yeah, they're not. I never.
I like a plain pretzel. If they had a cinnamon sugar version of these, it would slap.
Well, they have a Southwest version. I have yet to try them.
Doesn't sound appealing to me.
I don't know what that means.
I don't
the Southwest. You know the flavor of the Southwest.
Yeah.
Like peppers and onions and
It's
peppers
like
and
Chipotle or something.
like green and red peppers and
Something like that.
I mean,
like
have you
that.
guys done the Lay's? Like, well, obviously not Kavant, but I mean,
Yeah, because he likes mediocre.
come on, done like the Lay's different kinds, like dill pickle
Yeah.
and all those, like
Salt and vinegar.
The ranch, you have the ranch flavored. Oh, that's Doritos. My bad.
hamburger flavor or whatever. Come on.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, they put out a line of like crazy flavors.
Oh, okay.
When you could create your own flavor.
I don't know.
Like they're taking suggestions. Anyway, now this has become a chip podcast.
Yeah, let's go with chip podcast.
Probably time for us to wrap up.
Yes.
Because we're hitting like 2 hours-ish.
All right. So do you guys have any final thoughts on what we discussed? It was a lot.
Let's see. This week? No, I mean, I think we touched on a variety of things. I think that Drew Brees is going to be a huge target for any defensive lineman this season. There's going to be a price on his head. He should retire. That would be the last thing that I say. Because honestly, if his O-line doesn't just let him keep a few slip through, like I really feel like his life could possibly be in danger. Like his well-being could be in danger on the football field.
His knees.
Because every D-line is gonna have like that extra chip on their shoulder, that motivation of like, oh, that's how you feel. Like they're going to go after this man. So Drew Brees, my heart goes out to you, and
watch your neck.
Yeah, protect your neck, son.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll end on that. I think it was a good discussion we had today, guys. Hopefully things can progress in the weeks to come, and like we can see kind of some more progress being shown as the protests continue, as the calls to action continue. Hopefully the protesters out there stay vigilant, stay safe, but protect themselves as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything else, Mike?
No, I think you guys said it pretty well.
All right. Well, that was our show, guys. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having us in your devices. And we look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode.
See y'all next week. Gang, gang.